Part 33. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 321. What do you want to do? Murong Shui glanced over. Li Donglong and Li Nanfei returned to their original positions silently, but before that, they glared at Li Chen. Li Chen was speechless. Why are you two brothers looking at me? It was you who provoked your mother, not me. Dongfang Yaoqing also glared at her son fiercely, and said embarrassedly, Shui, then we will go back first. Don't punish them too much. Then I'll take you. Murong Shui got up and walked out of the house with Dongfang Yaoqing. Are you about to make a comeback? Dongfang Yaoqing hesitated. Yeah, Murong Shui nodded. Dongfang Yaoqing seemed to be struggling, and after a long time, she said, 10 years have passed, and a large number of excellent talents have already emerged in the entertainment industry. You, be prepared. Okay, Murong Shui was very grateful. By the way, what about you? Me, Dongfang Yaoqing said bitterly, do you think I can resist them? A trace of heartache flashed in Murong Shui's eyes. Then why do you have to wrong yourself? Then why do you have to compete with the Murong family for 10 years? Dongfang Yaoqing asked. Murong Shui was speechless for a moment. She and Dongfang Yaoqing are both the same kind of people, but the Dongfang family is more irresistible. Dongfang Yaoqing, who was kicked out of the Dongfang family, is now extremely unhappy. Back then, she was the most popular female star after Murong Shui. She was even rumored to be Kingxiu with Murong Shui. This was a real top-level beauty at the time. Whether it is appearance, acting skills, or popularity, they are all super first class. But the experiences of the two are surprisingly similar. However, Dongfang Yaoqing, the eldest daughter of the Dongfang family, was not as lucky as Murong Shui. The man that Dongfang Yaoqing liked retreated. Or, he lost to reality. Lost to the family. And lost to money. Dongfang Yaoqing, the pearl second only to Murong Shui, was kicked out of the Dongfang family and her status plummeted. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. Although she was kicked out of the Dongfang family, no one dared to do anything to her, but it was still okay to humiliate her and embarrass her. In recent years, Dongfang Yaoqing has lived a life worse than death. To some extent, she is much more miserable than Murong Shui. But she is weak in nature, but she is particularly strong and survived. The one who supports her is the son. Dongfang Yajun. Murong Shui was also upset, and she didn't know how to comfort her. At least, she was happy, even today, she could meet Li Chen again. Watching Dongfang Yaoqing go home, Murong Shui stood outside, not knowing what to think. Dongfang Yaoqing and she are in the same boat, both of them love acting, and they love it to the core. However, they have to compromise because of reality. Now, she has not given up. But judging from her warning just now, Dongfang Yaoqing, this beauty, is probably in a particularly miserable situation. What about her comeback? Now, it is probably full of difficulties, right? What's wrong? Murong Shui was startled, turned around leisurely, and saw Li Chen's extremely concerned face. She hugged Li Chen fiercely, her body trembling slightly. Li Chen noticed something strange, hugged Murong Shui tightly, and said, Don't be afraid, I'm here. Murong Shui didn't say anything, just wanted to hug this man. Now, only this man can give her a sense of security. Li Chen, I won't come back, Murong Shui said after a long time. Why? Li Chen didn't understand. He knew very well that Murong Shui recognized this identity very much. However, after meeting Dongfang Yaoqing, she suddenly changed, which made Li Chen a little frightened. I have already got enough, Murong Shui said softly. Before the comparison, she was still thinking about returning to the entertainment industry. But now, she thinks she should give up all these for Li Chen. The entertainment industry is not a good place. After entering, she will inevitably cause trouble. And this will only bring many inconveniences to Li Chen. She has already got a husband and a child, that's enough. Li Chen gently patted her back and said, "Silly. You have given so much for me, what does my giving for you count for? You can give up your persistence for me, so what reason do I have to retreat? Shwe, don't be shaken by the outside world and me, you are an individual, not dependent on me. I don't want you to give up everything because of my concerns." Murong Shwe raised her head, looked at Li Chen with red eyes, and said in a trembling voice, "But..." Li Chen looked at Murong Shwe's appearance, felt distressed, and lowered his head as if possessed by a ghost, and stamped his seal. "Mom," Dongfang Yajun pulled Dongfang Yaoking's hand, who was standing by the window. Dongfang Yaoking's eyes flashed with envy and relief. At least, she is happy. "What's wrong?" Dongfang Yaoking turned around and looked at her son. "I will protect you," Dongfang Yajun said seriously. "Okay, then Mom will wait for you to grow up and protect me." Li Chen took the blushing Murong Shwe back to the house with a happy face. Finally, Xiao Wu didn't come out to disturb us this time. Li Nanfei looked at Murong Xiu angrily, "Why do you only punish us?" Murong Xiu was stunned and said, "Who else do you want me to punish?" Li Nanfei and Li Donglong looked at each other and looked at Li Chen. Li Chen's handsome face suddenly darkened. These two bastards want to make trouble? Murong Xiu, who saw this scene, also watched the fun and did not mind the big deal. "Then tell me, why do you want to punish your father?" Li Nanfei winked at Li Donglong, and Li Donglong looked at Li Nanfei. They all wanted each other to speak, but they were afraid of being beaten by Li Chen. In the end, Li Nanfei could only say, "If the son is not educated, it is the fault of the father." Li Chen. "Yeah," Murong Xiu heard the words and nodded seriously, "that makes sense. What else?" Li Nanfei looked at Li Donglong. The meaning was very clear. "I have already said that it is your turn next. Whether you can pull your father to the same camp as us depends on you." Li Zifeng and Li Biwu, two sisters, sat cross-legged on the sofa and watched the show. This matter is between them. It has nothing to do with girls. Li Donglong rubbed his wrists, which were a little tired from copying, and hesitated for a moment and said, "I hope my dad must accept the punishment." Hearing this, Li Chen raised his eyebrows. "This kid is very itchy." Murong Shwe didn't care and continued to ask, "Reason?" "Reason, the reason is that dad is sorry for you." Li Donglong gritted his teeth and went all out. Murong Shwe smiled immediately, "How did he feel sorry for me?" Both Murong Shwe and Li Chen knew very well that these two little guys were just talking nonsense. However, Li Chen had already decided to loosen up his two sons' muscles and bones. Li Donglong said in one breath, "Dad always takes his mobile phone with him when he goes to the bathroom." "Then what?" "He watches videos and beauties." The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 322. Li Chen. At this moment, Li Chen wanted to suppress his unfilial eldest son. Even Li Nanfei showed a shocked expression. The eldest brother was the most ruthless. This is to drag his own father into the water, and he will do anything. Murong Shwe squinted and looked over, and her smile had disappeared. The whole house seemed to be able to feel the frost on the pretty face of the hostess. Watching videos of beauties. Yes, every time I squat in the toilet for half an hour, my brother and I can only go to the goose building, Li Donglong vowed. Although he felt a chill on his back and his right eyelid was twitching, he had already given up. Why are my brother and I always punished? No, Shwe, listen to me. Li Chen saw Murong Shwe coming with a chill, and suddenly he was overwhelmed. Li Chen, do you think I'm old and ugly? Murong Shwe pinched Li Chen's ear. Li Zifeng and Li Biwu, the two little sisters, suddenly widened their eyes and looked at Li Chen in disbelief. What happened to Dad? How could he not even beat Mom? Li Chen quickly grabbed Murong Shue's little hand and said, "Wife, you misunderstood." Misunderstanding, Murong Shue raised her eyebrows. "That's right, an old woman like me is definitely not as pretty as a young girl with long legs." "No, no, no, Shue'er, you are the prettiest. Let's go to the room and settle the accounts." "Ouch, it hurts." Li Chen was pinched by Murong Shue's ears, and could only follow Murong Shue to the second floor with a bitter face. Li Nanfei and Li Donglong, who saw this scene, looked at each other, their eyes shining. Done. Seeing Li Chen staring at them, the two looked away guiltily. When the door closed with a bang, Li Zifeng and Li Biwu immediately slid down from the sofa, and the four siblings quietly ran to the second floor together. "Dad is really peeking at the beauty," Li Zifeng looked at Li Donglong. That's not the case." Li Donglong shook his head guiltily and said, "It's Zifei who is looking at the beauty." "Li Nanfei." "Li Zifeng." "Big woo woo woo." Li Zifeng covered Li Biwu's mouth, put her finger in front of her mouth and made a shushing gesture, saying, "Be quiet." "Okay." Li Biwu nodded obediently. So, the four little guys leaned against the door. Inside the house, Li Chen gently hugged Murong Shue's slender waist. "Are you wrong?" Murong Shue snorted coldly and looked at the shadow by the door. "Wrong, wrong." Li Chen understood and gently smacked his wife on the face. Murong Shue's pretty face turned red, and she pushed Li Chen away with a little softness. Li Chen immediately followed, let Murong Shue sit on the chair, and massaged her shoulders with both hands. "Wife, please forgive me this time." "That depends on your performance." Murong Shue's face turned redder, and she could only cooperate with Li Chen. When Li Chen's hands pressed on her shoulders, her acupuncture points and slightly stiff shoulders were all red, and the blood flow rate in her body would also increase. At this time, the human body will reach the most relaxed state. Murong Shue has given birth to 4 children in these years, which is equivalent to walking through the gates of hell 4 times. Although it seems that there is no problem now, Li Chen noticed that his wife's blood is still very weak. At this time, if he doesn't pay attention to conditioning, he will inevitably suffer from serious illness in the future. Blood circulation massage is still very effective, and it takes a long time. Murong Shue was pressed and kneaded, which was painful and comfortable. She pursed her lips and blushed, and was embarrassed to make a sound. Outside the door, Li Donglong showed a proud smile, raised his eyebrows to his 3 younger brothers and sisters and said, "How is it?" "Big brother is mighty." Li Nanfei gave a thumbs up. "Big brother is awesome." Li Zifeng nodded with a smile. Big pot is awesome." Li Biwu held back for a long time and found that he had nothing to say. So, the 4 of them quietly left the vicinity of the door. After a while, Li Chen came out with a dark face and locked his eyes on Li Donglong and Li Nanfei. "Dad!" Li Biwu rushed over with a colorful bubble gun. Li Chen picked up his little daughter with one hand and walked towards Li Donglong and Li Nanfei, who were about to escape. "I thought about it carefully. As a father, not teaching you well is the biggest fault of my life." "No, no, no." Li Nanfei shook his little head like a rattle and said, "Dad, you are so hard, you really don't need to waste your mind on us. If you insist, then educate big brother." Li Donglong: "Where is the anti-dad alliance? Why did it break up?" I don't need it." Li Donglong was so scared that he stuttered a little. "Xiao Wu. How about daddy help your 2 brothers loosen up their muscles first? Is it Susong Jinggu?" "That's it." Li Chen put Li Biwu down, and then grabbed Li Donglong, who wanted to escape, with one hand. "No. Don't." Li Donglong shouted in horror, "I'm the general manager." "Ah!" When Li Chen's palm fell on Li Donglong was like a twisted worm, and the expression on his face was extremely ferocious. His face flushed, and his veins bulged. This kind of pain was something he had never experienced in his life. "Mom! Dad, I'm wrong, ah!" Inside the house, there were screams. Li Zifeng covered Li Biwa's eyes. The gap between her fingers was a little big. Li Biwa could see it clearly. De Guo was so miserable. It was really miserable. Xiao Wu had never seen De Guo do splits like this. "Xiao Fei, you are an actor, and actors need to take body performance classes. Body shaping is the basic skill for actors." "Dad," Li Nanfei's legs softened and he knelt on the ground. "My son was wrong." "No, no, no, your mistake is my mistake, so let's have a good class today." Li Chen walked over. "Don't come over here." "Ah, Mom, save me. I don't want to be an actor." Crying and shouting are of no use to the brothers Li Donglong and Li Nanfei. Murong Shui didn't plan to intervene in this fatherly love and filial piety scene. She said she liked it very much. As long as her position is not shaken. 3 minutes later. Li Nanfei lay motionless on the ground, tears of regret streaming down his eyes. He swore that he would never cheat this stingy father again. He is really not a human being. As for Li Donglong, he just wanted to escape from here. He did not feel his father's love. He felt his father's terror clearly. Beep. At this moment, a whistle sounded outside. Murong Xiu looked puzzled. Who else would come to her house at this time? Li Chen also stood up puzzled, and walked to the door with Murong Xiu. The people who came were none other than Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun, the father and son of the Yuan family. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 323. The arrival of Yuan's father and son actually started this morning. After Yuan Jiahao took Li Chen's small bottle back yesterday, he didn't take Li Chen's words seriously. But Yuan Chenjiun didn't ignore it and tried it right away. After exchanging water and sprinkling it on his own vegetable garden, a huge change happened the next day. Although the Yuan family's business is gradually declining, the Yuan family's business is a brand and a storefront after all. Many local wealthy families in Beijing actually know very well that even if the Zheng family intervened in the vegetable business later, it is still the Yuan family that has a certain degree of credibility in this industry. Even though the general market share today is not as good as before, the Yuan family has not really reached the point of being exhausted. Some of the vegetables of these wealthy families in Beijing are supplied by the Yuan family. It's just that the quantity is almost negligible compared to the entire market. This morning, the Yuan family's vegetable transport team still followed the usual practice and came to the Yuan family's vegetable cultivation base that is specially supplied to other wealthy families. What caught my eye was the vegetables that Yuan Cheng had watered with diluted vitality water. The vegetables in this area are all green as if they were waxed. The color is bright and clear, and each one is like a green crystal sculpture. When you get closer, you can smell a faint fragrance of vegetables. The transport team thought that this was a new variety recently cultivated by the Yuan family, so they gave priority to picking these vegetables with the highest appearance and the most fragrant taste. Then they were quickly delivered to the hands of the rich people in the capital. The appearance of these vegetables made the wealthy nobles who were used to eating Yuan family vegetables a little dazed. When did the Yuan family's vegetables become so beautiful? The key is that the fragrance of these vegetables makes people feel relaxed and happy. The first one to get this vegetable is the Xian Yuan family. Although Xian Yuan Xiong is the helmsman of the Xian Yuan family, he likes to cook. He is happy to cook for daily meals. When he received the dishes sent by the Yuan family, Xian Yuan Xiong was surprised. Is this from the Yuan family? Yes, Mr. Xian Yuan. New products. I don't know about this, we are only responsible for picking and transporting. Okay, Xian Yuanxiang waved his hand, looking at the beautiful green vegetables, he couldn't help but think about it. So, the fire was lit in the kitchen, and these simple vegetables were washed and put into the pot. What's the smell? I don't know, it seems to be cooking. Brother, it's my uncle who is cooking, the little boy shouted as he lifted Xian Yuanbinggro's quilt. Xian Yuanbingro glared at the little boy helplessly, then got up and walked to the living room. The whole family, including the old man, sat obediently at the table. The dishes were still the same, but for some reason, they were so fragrant and tempting. Xian Yuanxiang was also shocked. Although people usually eat his dishes, they would not come so many people. Let's start eating. Xian Yuanxiang turned around and planned to clean the stove first before eating. When he came back after cleaning the stove, he was completely dumbfounded. Where are the dishes? The table was clean, not even soup. Where are the dishes? Xian Yuanxiang roared. I worked hard to finish the dishes, and even the bowl was licked clean. Ha ha ha, the weather is good, my dear, let's go for a walk. Mom, there are activities outside today, I'll take you to go for a walk. Brother, let's go water the plants. The people in the room at the table put down their bowls and chopsticks reluctantly. Xian Yuanxiang stared at everyone leaving in a daze, and he felt bad all over. Sidhu's house. What is this? Vegetables. What's so good about vegetables? A few minutes later, everyone, young and old, came to the Sidhu's restaurant. And the hostess of the Sidhu family was shocked when she turned around. Mom, let me help you. Mom, you've worked hard. Mom, come and sit down. This dish is good. Where did you buy it from? At the table, the whole family was drooling. However, due to the majesty of the mistress, even the helmsman of the Sidhu family did not dare to take the lead in picking up chopsticks. What, where did you buy it from? The hostess of the Sidhu family said, this is what the Yuan family sent, but this vegetable is indeed different from before. I feel like it's new. New? No wonder it's different. This smells so good. Let's start eating. As soon as the voice fell, more than a dozen pairs of chopsticks were like robbing, and the tabletop was instantly clean. Ah, the vegetables smell so good. This vegetable is delicious. The Yuan family has developed something good. It should have been brought out a long time ago. Mom, should we order some more? Yuan family. After getting up, Yuan Jiahao was still frowning. As long as the situation of the Yuan family was not resolved, he would not be able to sleep well. When he got up early, Yuan Chenjiun naturally got up early as well. He didn't forget what he did yesterday, but when he came to the vegetable cultivation base in the back, he was dumbfounded. Where are the vegetables? The area that was splashed yesterday was now clean. Yuan Chenjiun roared, come on, come on. All the Yuan family members heard the news and moved at once, even Yuan Jiahao rushed over, thinking something had happened. What's going on? What happened? Everyone looked at Yuan Chenjiun eagerly. Yuan Chenjiun pointed to the blank area and said, where are the vegetables here? Good morning, they were delivered to the major families this morning. Upon hearing this, Yuan Chenjiun almost fainted. Yuan Jiahao was an old hand after all, and when he saw his son's condition, his heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Why are you asking about the vegetables in this area alone? I speak, Yuan Jiahao roared. I did an experiment with the vegetables in this area yesterday. Upon hearing this, Yuan Jiahao was struck by lightning. He staggered and almost fell. If it weren't for everyone's quick reaction, Yuan Jiahao would have fallen to the ground. Evil creature, if these vegetables have problems, can you take responsibility? We don't even know whether this Li is helping us or harming us. Yuan Jiahao poked Yuan Chenjiun's chest and cursed. Yuan Chenjiun's face was pale. He could foresee that if these vegetables damaged anyone's health, it would be a disaster for the UN family now. Things have already happened. Even if we look for responsibility now, it's too late. Yuan Jiahao took a few deep breaths. He knew that this was not the time to teach his son a lesson. The best solution at the moment was to call the major families quickly. They shouldn't suddenly want to cook in the morning, right? Ding-ling-ling. Yuan Jiahao was not ready yet. The phone rang, and he was so scared that he almost dropped the phone on the ground. When he saw the note on the phone, his heart suddenly tightened. Dad? What's wrong with you? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 324. When Yuan Jiahun saw the caller ID number on Yuan Jiahao's mobile phone, his expression changed instantly. Just after I finished worrying, the other party called me. All the UN family members looked at me and I looked at you. They knew that the UN family was afraid that a disaster would be imminent today. But the call has already come, and avoiding it is not an option. It is very likely that the direction of things will become worse and more unknown. Dad, answer the phone, Yuan Jiahun said. Everyone is responsible for the work. I did it. Even if something goes wrong, I should be responsible for it. Even though Yuan Jiahun didn't want to take the blame, the accident was indeed caused by him. When the other party comes to your door, you have no choice but to hide because of your emotions and reasons. For a time, the sky above the entire UN family was filled with sadness. Yuan Jiahao took a deep breath and pressed the answer button. Life and death, destiny and wealth are in heaven. Hey, Yuan Jiahao, do you still have your new dishes? Dish, what kind of dish? Yuan Jiahao and the surrounding UN family members almost didn't mention it in one breath. New dishes? I don't remember what new dishes our UN family has. Our UN family is too poor to open the pot. Where can we get the money to research new dishes? At this moment, Yuan Jiahao's mood can be said to be ups and downs, and he has long lost his calm. It's the food you delivered this morning. Xian Yuan Xiong's voice became louder. Yuan Jiahao and others were even more frightened. The food delivered in the morning? Something really went wrong? Mr. Xian Yuan. I'm asking you, do you still have these new vegetables? If so, please send me more. Yuan Jiahao. Send more? Didn't they eat dead people? Yuan Jiahun on the side reacted suddenly and said quickly, Uncle Xian Yuan, I'm really sorry. There is only so much of this dish at the moment. I will give it to you tomorrow. There is really not enough portion now. Hearing this, Xian Yuan Xiong said with some regret, it's a shipping company. Your new products are good. Our family likes to eat them. We will send more over tomorrow. Okay, okay. Seeing the phone beeping and hanging up, the UN family looked at Yuan Jiahun in confusion. Are you crazy? Where are the new dishes in our house? Since it's okay, why don't you tell the truth? The rest of the UN family were furious. If nothing happens, don't cause too much trouble. What if we can't come up with new dishes by then? Doesn't this push the UN family from one fire pit to another? Yuan Jiahun was about to speak when the phone rang again. Mr. Sidhu, yes, I'm at home. New vegetables? Sorry, today's supply is very limited. Yes, during the research and development stage, there is no large-scale promotion of planting. Okay, I'll give you more tomorrow. Yuan Jiahao's smile slowly faded, and at this time, he finally came back to his senses. Jingle bell. The phone rang again. Yuan Jiahao has completely regained his composure. At this moment, the furious UN family also saw the problem. New vegetables. The UN family doesn't have it. The only ones that are there are the ones that Yuan Jiahun sprinkled with water yesterday. One by one, their eyes bloomed. Everyone looked at Yuan Jiahun. Yuan Jiahao never had time to take a sip of tea when he answered the phone. Anyway, the words were repeated every time, and he finally hung up the phone. He immediately looked at Yuan Jiahao and said, "It's these vegetables." No, to be precise, it was the drop of green liquid that Li Chen gave us that worked, Yuan Jiahao said with great certainty. Dad, he didn't lie or deceive us. He can really save the Yuan family. Yuan Jiahao's expression was complicated. Today's situation undoubtedly gave him a hard slap. It turned out that the man really didn't lie to him. However, he still can't believe it at this moment. All of this is true. How could just a drop of green water cause such a big change? You all go out first. Remember, don't leak today's events for the time being, Yuan Jiahao said to his relatives in the family. These people also nodded solemnly. This time, the Yuan family's opportunity has arrived. But whether it can rise or not may depend on this time. After many of the clan members retreated, Yuan Jiahao immediately looked at Yuan Jiahao and said, "Are you sure that the vegetables here are all the ones you sprinkled with water yesterday?" "Yes," Yuan Jiahao said with great certainty. "Dad, don't hesitate, I know what you are thinking. Can't you save face? If the Yuan family can really come back to life, what does face mean?" Yuan Jiahao looked complicated. He said so, but it would be difficult to actually do it. "Dad, our family has no retreat now. Let's take a gamble." "What does it matter?" Yuan Jiahao said. "You have also seen that this batch of vegetables can satisfy even those with tricky tastes, and it will definitely satisfy the public. Ah! The opportunity is fleeting. I just want to apologize to Li Chen. We are relatives after all. If you still hesitate, then our Yuan family will have to wait for death." After hearing his son's words, Yuan Jiahao's expression was extremely complicated. He paced back and forth, and finally sighed heavily. "Let's go to Shue'er's house." "No, I have to get your aunt." Yuan Jiahao couldn't laugh or cry. "It's also appropriate to rope in your aunt." He didn't think Li Chen was a stingy person. This time, as long as the Yuan family cooperated in good faith, there would definitely be a great chance. When Yuan Jiahao dragged Yuan Jiawai to Murong Shue's house, it was the scene just now. "Grandma!" Li Biwu rushed over immediately when she saw Yuan Jiawai. "Oh my dear baby," Yuan Jiawai picked up Li Biwu, then glanced at her brother and walked into the house. Murong Shui and Li Chen stood outside and looked at Yuan Jiahao, who was a little embarrassed and blushing. "Uncle," Murong Shui smiled and said, "Come in and sit down." Yuan Jiahao waved his hand, took a deep breath, and said, "Shui, Uncle came here today to apologize." "Apologize?" Murong Shui was surprised. She didn't remember her uncle making a mistake. Yuan Jiahao looked at Li Chen standing aside, and his heart was in turmoil again. Why did this man become more and more extraordinary after just one day of not seeing him? Even his aura seemed to become vague. "Li Chen, I apologize for questioning you last time," Yuan Jiahao was about to bow. Murong Shui was startled and was about to stop him, but was stopped by Yuan Jiahao. Yuan Jiahao bowed 90 degrees before he said, "You said last time that you could save the Yuan family. Does that still count?" "Save the Yuan family?" Murong Shui stared at her brother with wide eyes. "Really?" Yuan Jiahao nodded, admitting it. Murong Shui felt even more incredible, and looked at Li Chen with a look of surprise. Can he really do everything? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 325. At this moment, even Murong Shui had doubts. Is your husband so capable? Li Chen noticed Murong Shui's gaze and smiled. I will explain to you later. After saying that, he walked towards Yuan Jiahao again and helped Yuan Jiahao up with both hands. Originally, he did not need to talk to Yuan Jiahao. The life and death of the Yuan family has little to do with him. However, This is Murong Shue's mother's natal family after all. The land of the capital is not big or small. Complexity among major families is inevitable. And the Yuan family and the Murong family have an inextricable relationship, so Li Chen naturally wants to keep a hand. If my father-in-law falls out with me, no one on my side will step forward. Whether it is to support the Ye family or to take the initiative to give the Yuan family a way to survive, they have laid a way out for the subsequent robbery of their wives and children. Uncle, what are you talking about? Li Chen smiled slightly. His skin was as fair and smooth as a baby's, and he had a unique aura about him. Every frown, every smile, every breath, is like an immortal from heaven. This is one of the reasons why Yuan Jiahao is now willing to compromise. This nephew and son-in-law is not simple. Is this really just the master realm? You are Shue's uncle, and you are my uncle. We are a family. Since the family is in trouble, how can I not help? Li Chen entrusted Yuan Jiahao. Yuan Jiahao was a little dazed. He was also an old man who had experienced many hardships. To put it bluntly, what kind of person had he not seen before? He can tell at a glance whether what others are saying is human language or lies. But Li Chen in front of him knew that the authenticity of these words was very low. But after coming into contact with Li Chen, a strong sense of trust naturally emerged in my heart. This is outrageous. Yuan Chenjiun stood aside silently. He didn't expect that this person was so easy to talk to. For a moment, he was in a trance. Let's go in and talk. Li Chen turned slightly sideways and smiled, giving people a feeling of spring breeze. Okay, Yuan Jiahao was shocked. Is this inexplicable good impression a fat thing? Although he was surrounded by 4 little babies, Yuan Jiahuai's eyes were always on Li Chen's side. It wasn't until Li Chen took the initiative to invite Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun to come and take a seat that he breathed a sigh of relief. Xiaolong, take your brothers and sisters, let's go to the toy room. Okay, Yuan Jiahuai said while holding Li Biwu who was playing with her head. Okay, Li Donglong glanced at Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun, obediently pulled Li Zifeng and Li Nanfei, and followed his grandmother upstairs. There were only 4 people left in the entire living room, Li Chen, Murong Shui, Yuan Jiahao, and Yuan Chenjiun. After Murong Shui poured a cup of tea for each of them, father and son, she sat down next to Li Chen. What happened last time? Uncle Li Chen interrupted, if a family doesn't speak the same language, then it would be a bit foreign to say this. When Yuan Jiahao heard this, he smiled bitterly and finally said, you are right. The 2 father and son looked at each other and picked up the teacups. On the contrary, my father and son are somewhat judging a gentleman's heart with a villain's heart. Brother-in-law, Yuan Chenjiun wanted to be more open-minded and not as restrained as Yuan Jiahao. I wonder if you still have the small medicine bottle you had last time. Judging from today's feedback, the effect is not very good. The main reason I came here today is to see if our 2 families can have some in-depth cooperation. Whether it's Yuan Jiahao or Yuan Chenjiun, they all know it too well. They may not have seen the vegetables today, but if the top dignitaries in the capital are eager to eat them, if they are not good, they will have no choice but to rip off their own heads and play them as footballs. Once this kind of thing comes out, it will definitely sweep through all major and small vegetable markets. Once upon a time, the Yuan family was the leader and king in the industry. But now, it has declined. But with the support of this technology, it will not be difficult for the Yuan family to return to the top. It may even reach an unprecedented peak. As for the Zheng family that rose later, they may all be trampled under their feet. Of course, this is just the speculation of the father and son. As for whether Li Chen will agree or not, it's really hard to say. Li Chen put down the teacup, looked at Yuan Jiahao and said seriously, Uncle, do you want to get back on your feet? Yuan Jiahao almost couldn't help but rolled his eyes. Isn't this nonsense? But he soon realized that Li Chen must have done all this for a purpose. Since there is a purpose, why would you ask nonsense? Yuan Jiahao frowned slightly and said in a slightly deeper tone, of course I want to. What if we regain our strength? Li Chen leaned back slightly and leaned on the soft sofa. Yuan Jiahao stared at Li Chen without blinking, then at Murong Shui, and finally took a deep breath and said, I wonder what you want the Yuan family to do. Li Chen smiled when he heard this. An old fox is an old fox. Yuan Chenjiun on the side has not yet reacted, this is the gap. Li Chen smiled and said, it's not too difficult. With the rise of the Yuan family, I want to take a share of the profits. Of course, this will be given to my son. I don't want it. Yuan Jiahao can accept this. In addition, if the Yuan family really relies on this item to rise, I hope that the Yuan family can be popularized, not just for the rich and powerful. Hearing this, Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun frowned slightly, which means that they need to prepare vegetables of different grades and varieties. The three major markets of low, medium, and high must all be occupied. The last point, who stepped down your Yuan family, I hope you step back. Even if you don't say this, our Yuan family will. Yuan Jiahao snorted coldly. So what if the Zheng family is in the first echelon? Yuan Jiahao can be sure of one thing from the feedback of the Xian Yuan family and other families today. Once the Yuan family controls the secret weapon, then from now on, in the field of vegetables and fruits, the position of the Yuan family will be unshakable. Okay, Li Chen nodded and said, I don't want much either. My eldest son takes 20% of the profit from here. It's not too much, right? Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun were slightly stunned. They didn't expect Li Chen to only want 20%. Of course, if you want to buy it, you can, 10,000 per bottle. Give you 20% profit, Yuan Jiahao said without thinking. His mind worked quickly, and the Yuan family would definitely lose money if they gave the profit. But the question is, what if Li Chen doesn't sell to the Yuan family in the future? So what if they are in-laws? Does he, Li Chen, need to take care of the Yuan family all the time? Instead of talking about money and buying, it is better to directly strengthen this relationship. Li Chen gave 20% of the profit to his eldest son, Li Donglong, which was obviously planned. In this case, let's just lock the relationship between the two families. As long as Li Donglong is still there, you, Li Chen, have to continue to cooperate with the Yuan family. After all, the Yuan family makes money, and Li Donglong always has money. Uncle is a straightforward person. In this case, I wish us a happy cooperation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 326. Since it is a cooperation, we must be sincere. There are too many problems to be solved in the Yuan family now. And all the key points are controlled by Li Chen. Xiaolong. Although he was playing with the child, he was always paying attention to Yuan Jiawei downstairs, and immediately waved to Li Donglong. Li Donglong is the eldest brother, and he often learns from Murong Hungs. It can be said that Li Donglong has seen and experienced almost everything except that he is younger. This is no longer a child. Even though he is only 9 years old now. Your father is calling you, go down quickly. Okay, Li Donglong immediately turned around and walked out of the room. Big Pot, Li Biwu was about to follow. Xiao, be good, Dad asked me to do something. Oh, Li Biwu shrank back again. She is still very sensible. Gently closing the door, Li Donglong took a deep breath. In the past few days here, he felt that he was really a child. In Murong's family, he can't be a child, nor can he be a child, even if he is a child. If he doesn't speak, at this moment, whether it is his charm, temperament, or his own cultivation, he is the top among his peers. It's just that he learned a non-standard Mandarin from Muronghungs, which makes Li Chen very headache. Perhaps, this is why no one is perfect, right? Dad, Li Donglong stood aside. This was the first time he called Li Chen so solemnly. Come here. Li Donglong was pulled by Li Chen to sit down. Now your uncle and I have already discussed the cooperation, so next, you and your uncle's family will complete the handover. A hint of surprise flashed in Li Donglong's eyes. Although he has integrated into it in the past few days, he has not completely entered the heart of this man. At least, he thinks so. Moreover, Li Chen and he are always pitting each other. This makes him feel strong and a little uncomfortable. Why can Xiao, Xiaofei and even Xiaofeng get along so well with you, but you are always so harsh on me? He was already criticized to the extreme by the Murong family, and he was actually very uncomfortable. But now, when he heard that Li Chen was going to hand over such a big thing to him, his young heart was still shaken. He looked at Li Chen dully and puzzled, not quite understanding why. But his good quality made him keep this doubt in his heart. Even though the uncle's family was also relatives, he still didn't speak. Okay, Li Donglong was very sensible and restrained his mind, at least now his performance was remarkable. After Yuan Chenjiun took a look at the little guy, he handed over the contract and said, sign, all the profits of the Yuan family in the future will have your 20% profit. Li Donglong's hand holding the pen paused slightly, and finally nodded heavily. After he signed the beautiful font seriously, he respectfully handed the contract and pen to Yuan Chenjiun. In terms of upbringing, Li Donglong is naturally the best among the 4 children. Li Chen stood up, took down a box from the second floor, and put it on the table. Normally, the maximum dilution ratio is 1 to 5 liters. There are about 10 drops in a small bottle. For the time being, I can only prepare 2,000 bottles for you. When you are running out of it, just look for Xiaolong in the future. Okay. Looking at the box on the table, Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun both breathed a sigh of relief. 2,000 bottles, that is 20,000 drops. At least it is definitely enough for a short time. Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun should stay a little longer at this time. However, they can't wait to go back and study. They still remember what Li Chen said just now. The maximum dilution ratio is 1 to 5 liters, so after completing the dilution of different ratios, the level classification of dishes is actually out. Then we will go back first. Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun have already stood up. I'll see you off. Li Chen smiled and stood up. The father and son stopped refusing and stood up with smiles on their faces. After getting in the car, Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun couldn't hide their smiles, and they stepped on the accelerator almost instantly. At this moment, their only thought was to get home quickly. Yuan family. As soon as Yuan Jiahao and Yuan Chenjiun got out of the car, their expressions became extremely serious. Call all the key members for a meeting immediately, Yuan Jiahao said hurriedly. But, some are still out of town. I said, immediately. Yuan Jiahao's face turned cold, and he shouted sternly, no matter what work you have on hand, stop immediately and come back immediately. Seeing Yuan Jiahao's expression and tone, these people didn't dare to ask any more questions, but they were worried in their hearts. The head of the family is in this state, could it be that the Yuan family is going to go bankrupt? For a time, the Yuan family members who got the news were worried. Yuan Chenjiun went straight to the research institute, where a large number of researchers were in a state of panic. Everyone, stop what you are doing and come to the meeting right now. General Manager, our research. I said, no matter who it is, as long as they are researchers, come to the meeting immediately, Yuan Chenjiun said in a cold voice, you must be here within 5 minutes. He didn't say anything specific, just told them and turned to leave. Yuan's multimedia conference room. Everyone gathered together in fear. What they feared most was the complete collapse of the UN family at this moment. Once that happened, everyone would be finished. No family is without external enemies. If there is such a family, it can only be said that this family can't even be called a family. Countless researchers who didn't have time to change clothes walked in very dissatisfied. Their research, after all, is for the UN family. Now that the UN family was interrupted because of a meeting, they expressed great dissatisfaction. What's going on? I don't know. Our research has reached a critical moment. If we stop at this time, the loss will be not small. I don't know what they want to do. Anyway, we are also paid to do things, hey. Some people vented their dissatisfaction. But neither Yuan Jiahao nor Yuan Chenjiun stopped them. Until all the personnel, no more and no less, appeared here, Yuan Jiahao finally stood up. I called you all here today just to announce something. As Yuan Jiahao finished speaking, the noise and worry below became louder. Announcing something at this time can only mean that the UN family will completely collapse. Apart from that, they can't think of anything else. Yuan Jiahao looked around and was very disappointed. At this time, everyone was confused and hesitant. From today on, my UN family will return to the top. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 327. In the conference room, there was a deathly silence. Everyone looked at Yuan Jiahao in a daze and astonishment. If it weren't for the fact that Yuan Jiahao was the head of the family and the chairman, they might have cursed. The market share of the UN family is now declining day by day, and you actually said that you want to return to the peak. Are you old and confused? Or have you lost your mind? Return to the peak. How is it possible? The market share of my UN family has been squeezed to the limit by the Zheng family. Not falling to the bottom at this moment is already the greatest luck of my UN family. Almost everyone present couldn't understand why Yuan Jiahao would say such a thing. This doesn't sound like what a big family and a big entrepreneur should say. But, Yuan Jiahao, standing on the stage, was not very angry. When he clicked on the multimedia, everyone's attention was immediately attracted by the multimedia. These are telephone recordings one by one. Huh? What is this? This is a screenshot of the chairman's mobile phone. Is that, Mr. Xian Yuan? Hiss. When they saw what was on the screen, their eyes almost popped out, and their expressions were indescribably exaggerated. This is the recording of the family head's call. What does the family head want to do? Yuan Jiahao clicked on the recording with a blank expression. Hey, Yuan Jiahao, do you still have any new dishes? Mr. Xian Yuan. I'm asking you a question, do you still have these new vegetables? If you do, send me more. The recordings were played one after another. The entire conference room was as quiet as a cemetery. Everyone's expression was so quiet that words like horror, astonishment, and surprise were not enough to describe it. I didn't expect that so many people would take the initiative to order dishes this morning. How is this possible? Countless people seemed to be cast under a spell of immobilization. 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds later. The conference room was in an uproar. Is this true? Is this not true? Has my UN family really cultivated top-quality vegetables? Everyone was breathing rapidly, and their eyes looked eagerly at Yuan Jiahao, who was in the front. At this moment, Yuan Jiahao, the head of the family, became the focus of the whole audience. Everyone's mood was uncontrollably surging. If this is true, then what Yuan Jiahao said before is not just empty talk. Now, everyone is very nervous. Because they strongly desire the scene to appear. But they are afraid that this is a trick that Yuan Jiahao deliberately played in order to give them a boost. Yuan Jiahao pointed to the recordings and said, "These are all true, because many people heard and saw it in the morning." Wow. The whole audience was agitated. It's true. It's actually true. So, are we saved? Many old people cried while talking. The UN family is almost unable to hold on, but if there is a slight chance, they don't want to give up. Now, UN Jiahao actually said that they have hope. Who wouldn't be excited? UN Jiahao stretched out his hands slightly and made a pressing motion, hoping that everyone would be quiet. It is true that a lot of things have been researched, but these things were not researched by my UN family, but by my niece Murongxiu's husband Li Chen. Yuan Jiahao's words caused an uproar again. Countless people were confused and had no idea who Li Chen was. Is it the madman who captured the second lady of the He family? Someone asked uncertainly. Although many people don't pay attention to current affairs, some people still pay attention. Yes, Yuan Jiahao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seemed that this was how Li Chen became famous. Listen, all research teams. This drug is extremely precious. My UN family has spent a lot of effort to suppress it. I hope you don't study this ingredient first. The first priority now is to dilute this thing with water to a certain proportion and control it within a reasonable range. At this stage, the top level of vegetables is also vague, so I hope you can use these potions to make me a top level standard. Vegetables need 5 levels: ordinary, intermediate, advanced, special and top. As for how to achieve it, I think you have a way. Starting today, only 3 grades of vegetables will be released on the market, that is, ordinary, intermediate and advanced. Ordinary vegetables are used to sink the market and take the sales route. I hope that my UN family can grab the bottom market that belongs to our UN family in the shortest time. And intermediate vegetables are used to win over the middle level, and the advanced ones are specially provided to those wealthy nobles. As for the special and top grades, Yuan Jiahao didn't say it, and no one asked. You need to keep a hand when doing anything. Otherwise, if someone else develops vegetables of the same level as the UN family in the future, the UN family will not be without means of defense. If others also reach the ordinary level, when the ordinary level no longer has an advantage, then the UN family will merge the ordinary level and the intermediate level, and then release the special level. As for the top level, this is the killer. At least, Yuan Jiahao guessed that in the next 50 years, the top vegetables may not be easily released. It is impossible for a big family to have no means at all. At this moment, the UN family mobilized. Countless people no longer looked depressed and confused, they were full of longing and yearning for the future. The whole UN family was mobilized. In the laboratory, many researchers had excited looks on their faces. Although they had always been skeptical about this potion. But they knew more clearly that Yuan Jiahao would not joke about the future of the entire UN family. The UN family mobilized collectively. Li Chen stood at the door with his hands behind his back, and after watching Yuan Jiahao and his son leave with Li Donglong, he did not rush into the house. After a long time, Li Chen walked to the garden, and Li Donglong followed quickly. When Li Chen did not speak, Li Donglong naturally did not know what to say. At this moment, his heart was not calm. From the corner of his eyes, he glanced at this handsome man from time to time. This should be the only time he took a walk with him alone. Although the sun was quite big at this time. Do you know why I gave you this prophet alone? After a long time, Li Chen finally spoke. Li Donglong thought about it seriously, then shook his head. Because you are my eldest son, Li Chen looked at him and said. Li Donglong showed a puzzled look, still did not understand what Li Chen meant. Your brother and your sister are very young, so I can be unscrupulous with them, I can play and fight with them, and even let them ride on my head. Li Chen said slowly, but you are my eldest son, when I am not here, you are me. They all feel sorry for you, knowing that you have shouldered a lot and shouldered a lot. So, this is my little compensation to you as a father. I know you don't care about these, but, I am your father, you don't care, I do. People always have to find a way to do something to make up for the debt in their hearts. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 328. Li Donglong pursed his lips. It turned out, that he wanted to make up for his debt? Xiaolong, Li Chen said again, actually, I'm not even ready, and I don't know how to be a good father. When I learned of your existence, I was more worried than happy. Because I don't know if I can set a good example and give you a stable environment to grow up. I don't even know if I can be a good father. Li Donglong looked at Li Chen in surprise. What do you think of me like that? I am also a human being, a mortal. There are always things that mortals don't know how to do. I don't know how to be a father. Isn't this normal? Kesu. Forget it, you'd better stop talking, it doesn't match your appearance. Li Donglong felt a dull pain in his heart. Are you the father? What should you, a father, say to your children? The good atmosphere was suddenly destroyed. Li Donglong was very depressed. I said it was not my fault that the delivery was not accurate. You go find grandpa. Li Chen ignored Li Donglong's depression, so, you have to bear with me as a father if I don't do well. I also know that you are very smart and have your own ideas. You may even think that your younger brothers and sisters are childish. This is all, it doesn't matter. Me. I will treat you well in the days to come. In a few days, the time will be almost ripe. I will help your mother redeem herself first. Li Donglong's eyes lit up. Will he be rich in a few days? Is your respect fake? Although he had guesses, after all, he had seen Li Chen's recent series of actions. The action against the He family, the support for the Ye family, and the support for the Yuan family are definitely not in vain. Your mother promised to go back to the countryside with me. What about you? Li Chen looked at the smart eldest son. At this moment, Li Donglong did not dodge. I want to make money. Nice, no accent. Li Chen praised it in his heart. Then will you come with us? Li Chen asked again. Of course, I'm not forcing you. Whatever you choose, I, as a father, will support you. Li Donglong fell into silence. After a long time, he raised his head and asked, what if, I don't go with you? Li Chen thought about it seriously, maybe I will beat you to death. Li Donglong's face suddenly fell. Please be a silver. I am your son after all. Dad, can you give me a little more time? Li Donglong said seriously. Okay, Li Chen touched Li Donglong's head and said, don't worry, Dad was joking just now. Whether you want to stay or leave with us, I will support you. I also know that you have your own reasons for staying at the Murong family. You don't have much nostalgia for the Murong family. When Li Donglong heard this, a touch of emotion flashed in his eyes. Of course, if you really can't let go of the Murong family, I might really kill you. Li Donglong is tired of his kindness. Why would there be an intermediary father? If you open your mouth or shut your mouth just to beat the shit out of your own son, won't your conscience hurt? Okay, let's go in and play. Play more while you can still play. Li Donglong turned around and ran away. It was too dangerous to stay with his father. He actually wanted to beat himself up at every turn. It's too wide and scary. Looking at Li Donglong's fleeing figure, Li Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. His eldest son is undoubtedly the smartest. He may have some shortcomings, but they are absolutely harmless. Being able to stay with old foxes like Murong Hungs and Murong Daiwen for so long, nothing went wrong. Li Chen didn't believe it if he said he didn't have his own thoughts and scheming. But Li Donglong knows it very well. What's more important is that since he returned home, he has taken off all his defenses outside. It's really exactly what a 9-year-old child should look like. Li Chen was pleased. If Li Donglong is still defensive about the people closest to him, then Li Chen will have to re-examine it. But, what is this brat planning? It was obvious that at that moment, Li Donglong was eager to agree to go back with him immediately. But for some reason, I finally gave up. Does the Murong family have any secrets? In other words, something about the Murong family is more important than the next family reunion? Li Chen also had to admit that his eldest son was a bit of a monster. However, since he didn't say anything, he, as a father, would not force him. Then you can only use your own way to create perfect conditions for him as much as possible. Li Chen sighed. The more he contacted and investigated, the more he felt that the Murong family was a bit scary. Is this really just a third-tier family? Why does it feel so eerie? Jingle bell. The cell phone rings. It was Shen Yanqing calling. Director Li. Explain. The company has been registered and is now ready to pay the money. According to your instructions, the registered capital is tentatively set at 200 million. Okay, Li Chen nodded, there's more. We have already begun preparations for the several requests you made before. The individual items completed now are 150 million, 230 million, 360 million and 280 million respectively. The company's registered capital cannot be too much. Otherwise, there will be many problems in the middle. Li Chen must wait until the next arrangements are in line with his own rhythm before he can act. Otherwise, it will only take a few minutes for him to get 100 billion. The more he comes into contact with these things, the more alert Li Chen becomes. He always feels that there is a big chess game waiting for him, and he has to be careful. In other words, it takes 1.22 billion now, right? Yes, Shen Yanqing said with certainty. Okay, wait a moment, I will remit the money to you immediately, Li Chen nodded, expressing great appreciation for Shen Yanqing's work ability. Okay. There are a lot of things that Li Chen has arranged. But without exception, Shen Yanqing has done very well and very well. After this period of time is over, he plans to let Shen Yanqing take a break. Of course, salary increase and rewards must also be arranged in place. After hanging up the phone, Li Chen immediately transferred 1.3 billion to Shen Yanqing. It's not that he is unwilling to transfer more, but the funds there have been fully circulated now. He is now waiting to collect more than 130 billion to redeem his wife. 133.4 billion will not be too far away. When the arrangements here are unified, he, Li Chen, will go to the door to pick up the person. Pick up the phone and transfer money directly to Shen Yanqing's public account. About 15 minutes later, Shen Yanqing said that all the money has been in place and started the relevant payment procedures. Li Chen turned back to the house. Since Yuan Jiawai is here, Li Chen still has to cook a meal to reward his mother-in-law. Just when Li Chen was cooking, the system made a ding sound. Ding, detecting the host's consumption, a 50-fold rebate has been triggered, and 61 billion has been received. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 329. As the system made a sound of money being credited, Li Chen, who was cooking, couldn't help but smile. 61 billion rebates. This is the highest rebate data Li Chen has ever received. He never expected that he would be able to complete it after such a fierce operation. At this moment, the system data began to update again. Because he had given the Yuan family 20,000 drops of vitality water before, Li Chen's system rebate points at that time were only 129. But fortunately, now that he has consumed a full 1.22 billion, he has made a profit again. Not only that, Li Chen's portable space was originally only 1 cubic meter, but now it has expanded to 10 cubic meters. This is also a great joy for Li Chen. Host, Li Chen. Wealth, 127,238,282,019. Skills, release internal strength. Medical skills, immortal level. Beast taming, god level. Return points, 1,220,129. Return level, 50 times. 2,502,720,000/10,000,000,000,000. Currency exchange, 1:20,000. When the system was displayed, Li Chen glanced at it. At this moment, his total personal wealth has reached 127.2 billion. Only 6.2 billion is left to redeem his wife Murong Shui's 133.4 billion. Li Chen can almost ignore this gap. Now, everything just needs to wait for the rise of the Pan family, the Yuan family, and the Ye family. Li Chen clearly realized that even if he spent a lot of money and finally upgraded to the late Grandmaster, he must not be invincible. Although the Grandmaster is already the ceiling of this era. But he knows that there are still above the Grandmaster. And he doesn't have the capital to challenge. Fighting and killing is not what he wants. However, he still has to have what he should have. Without the force value, how can he protect his relatives? If he was also a martial arts master, who would dare to destroy the Li family? Li Chen dared not let down his guard. Even if the system has earned him enough money, he must ensure that his money, Li Chen, can flow like water when the outside world can verify it. In this way, he can minimize his own danger as much as possible. When he has enough capital in the outside world, the possibility of others suspecting him will be reduced. He always has to be on guard. Although there are more than 1 million yuankai water now, he has a huge demand now. Not to mention that batch of wheat, only a part of it has been transported. Next, he will also buy all the things that he had cooperated with the He family before. Completely cut off the He family's thoughts. Let the He family be cut off from the root. And the yuankai water needed for the wheat over there alone is amazing. Only after the quality of wheat is changed, the fine wine made by the Pan family is the best wine. And now, the momentum of Ziwifei wine is simply unstoppable. Although Li Chen didn't pay attention, he knew that it would get more and more intense in the future. Maybe, the money that Li Chen invested has already begun to fill the hole, or even start to make a profit soon. Not to mention, the Ye family and the Yuan family will be the next big consumers of vitality water. It is not an easy job to feed these two families and let them go all out. Li Chen has no plan to upgrade to the late Grandmaster level first. With his combat power, as long as people above the Grandmaster level don't come out, people in the late Grandmaster level may not be able to suppress him. Li Chen started to exchange vitality water while cooking. The Pan family still needs some as a backup. After all, not all wheat will be so uniform. With vitality water to improve the taste, there is naturally no problem. Li Chen consumed 200,000 return points and exchanged 100,000 drops. These 100,000 drops of vitality water are all for the Pan family. With this batch, Li Chen believes that the Pan family should go all out in the future anyway, right? If the Ye and Yuan families want to blow the horn of counterattack at the same time, they can only be fed first. Li Chen is not stingy at all. Anyway, the Ye and Yuan families make money, which means he, Li Chen, makes money. Li Chen spent another 800,000 refund points and exchanged for 400,000 drops of vitality water. The Yuan and Ye families, equivalent to taking 200,000 drops each. Ding-ling-ling. Hello, hello, is this Mr. Li Chen? Li Chen put down the dishes, picked up the phone and said, "It's me." "Hello, Mr. Li Chen, the batch of glass bottles you ordered have all been delivered to the warehouse you designated. Can you check them now? Just put them in directly, I'll come over later. Okay, then we'll wait for you. After hanging up the phone, Li Chen said, Shwe, I'll go out for a while and be back soon. Okay, Murong Shwe and Yuanjia took over the kitchen. Daddy, Li Biwu immediately followed Li Chen's buttocks. What's wrong? Li Biwu hugged Li Chen's thigh and said, where is Dad going? To do something. What if Xiao misses Dad? Li Biwu blinked her big round eyes and looked at Li Chen. Being stared at by his little daughter like this, Li Chen's mentality suddenly softened. Forget it, I have been eaten to death by my little girl in this life. Li Chen picked up Li Biwu, and Li Biwu immediately giggled and followed Li Chen out. Nearby, Li Chen rented a large warehouse, the price of which was 30,000 a day. It was not cheap. But Li Chen only needed a temporary transition now, so he didn't plan to buy it. The main reason was that he couldn't buy it, and others didn't want to sell it. Li Chen thought that he would leave anyway, so he was too lazy to talk about it. After arriving at the temporarily rented warehouse, Li Chen saw the other party. It was a relatively young woman who was waiting for Li Chen. Is it Mr. Li Chen? The woman couldn't help looking at Li Chen's face. She was a little jealous. Can a man's skin be so white and tender? Why does it feel like his skin is comparable to that of the cute little girl in his arms? No, it's even better. Is this true? The woman's eyes could not help but fall on Li Chen's face again. She didn't know how to describe it. Simply saying handsome, it seems that it can no longer be described. This face is really never boring. I am, Li Chen smiled and nodded, are they all in? Oh, yes, the woman blushed, and quickly came back to her senses and smiled, a total of 500,000 small bottles. I also gave you 100 more to avoid damage. Then I will pay you now. Li Chen took out his mobile phone. The small glass bottles he ordered before have been used up. Now reordering is also for the purpose of distinguishing in the future. The cost price of a small glass bottle is not very expensive, only about $1. Of course, this is mainly because Li Chen has a large demand. Otherwise, others would not give such a price. 500,000 small bottles, that is, 500,000 yuan. For Li Chen, it is really just a drop in the bucket. By the way, I may need another batch next time. Can you make it urgently? The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 330. The woman's eyes lit up when she heard this. She thought the other party would terminate the cooperation after one time, but she never expected that there would be another opportunity for cooperation. Of course it's possible, the woman hurriedly said, I wonder how many more Mr. Li needs. Let's order 2 million for the time being. It's no problem to send them to me in batches. Okay. Okay, I'll transfer the money to you first. Mr. Li, you transferred 2.5 million, the woman exclaimed. Well, I'll pay the money first. I believe in the character of your company. When you're done, just send it to me. The woman's eyes were slightly red with excitement. She didn't expect that she would pick up such a big bargain. I really can't believe this is true. This time, this big order fell on her head. Even if she takes a commission, it's tens of thousands. Thank you, Mr. Li, please rest assured that we will complete your order with high efficiency and quality. The woman thanked him respectfully. You're welcome. Li Chen smiled and waved his hand. Ding, detecting the host's consumption, 50 times the rebate has been triggered, 125 million has been received. Easily, 125 million was in hand. After the woman left, Li Biwu let go of the little hand that was pinching Li Chen's earlobe. Li Chen put Li Biwu down, Li Biwu grabbed Li Chen's little finger, and followed Li Chen into the warehouse. Because the bottles are very small, a box can hold many small bottles, so it is really not difficult to stack 500,000 small bottles in this warehouse. Dad, Li Biwu raised his little head and looked at Li Chen and said, "What's the matter?" "This is what Dad needs to use." Li Chen opened the box and took a look. Sure enough, they were all made according to different allocations and different standard configurations. And the shape and craftsmanship are better than before. Li Chen pinched Li Biwu's little nose and said, "Wait for Dad here, Dad is doing something." Keisu. Hualala. When Li Chen conjured up a bunch of snacks like a magic trick, Li Biwu's eyes widened. "Is it okay now?" "Okay," Li Biwu nodded repeatedly like a chicken pecking at rice, many times. Li Biwu was about to roll around in the pile of snacks. Li Chen began to put the vitality water into these bottles, and 10 drops in one bottle was just right. Because it was a mini bottle, it didn't take up much space. What's more, his portable space now has a full 10 cubic meters. It was not difficult to put down these small bottles. One by one, the small bottles were put in. Only 10,000 bottles were needed for the 100,000 drops for the Pan family. And 40,000 were needed for the F family and the UN family. Now it is consumed very quickly. These things will be transported first. For the remaining 450,000 bottles, Li Chen directly sent a vehicle to Murong Shue's underground warehouse. Murong Shue was not interested anyway. The reason for renting a separate warehouse was, firstly, to prevent Murong Shue from being discovered by others and threatening her safety, and secondly, to spend a little money. Just to earn a little rebate by the way. When Li Chen finished filling all the vitality water, a convoy had arrived outside. It was Zhao Shanchuan. "Son-in-law. Move all these goods to Shue's underground warehouse." Zhao Shanchuan nodded and immediately asked his men to start moving. After they all moved away, Li Chen said to Li Biwu, who was still rolling in the snacks, "Xiao Wu. Yeah. Go home." "But I want to play for a while." Li Biwu looked at Li Chen pitifully. "Your grandma wants to eat." Li Biwu immediately got up, and didn't care about the snacks on the ground. "Then let's go to eat." Li Chen. Li Chen collected all the snacks on the ground, and as for the opened ones, he threw them all into the trash can. At this moment, there was a fat man standing at the door. The fat man took the key, a little lazy. "Handsome guy, is my warehouse still good?" "Not bad." Li Chen smiled and said, "Can I renew the lease?" The fat man looked at Li Chen in surprise and said, "Of course, it's okay, but it's still 30,000 a day. I won't reduce it for you." "It's okay." Li Chen took out his mobile phone and said, "I'll rent it here for another half a month. You can come and pick it up then." "Okay." The fat man took out his mobile phone and was not polite at all. "Half a month, that's 450,000. Not a loss." Li Chen took out his mobile phone and scanned it for him. Ding, detecting the host's consumption, 50 times the rebate has been triggered, 22,500,000 has been credited. Although he may not stay here for another half a month, it doesn't matter if he pays a little more. More than 20 million have been credited. Li Chen and the fat man waved, and took Li Biwu, who urged him to leave, home to eat first. "Grandma." Li Biwu opened his arms and rushed towards Yuanjia. "Oh my little baby." Yuanjia caught Li Biwu, and Li Biwu kissed Yuanjia on the face. While kissing, he smiled. Okay. Yuanjia was a little overwhelmed by this little guy, and said, "Can you go in with grandma to eat?" "Okay." Li Biwu nodded heavily. After Li Chen parked the car, Murong Shui came over and said, "What have you been busy with recently?" "Make money." Li Chen said seriously, "I plan to rob someone from the Murong family." When Murong Shui heard this, she felt sweet in her heart. She pinched the flesh of Li Chen's waist quietly and said, "It's not even in broad daylight." "Li Chen. Where am I out of shape? It's obviously very serious, right?" Seeing that the biggest stumbling block was taken away by his mother-in-law, Li Chen took advantage of the absence of several children and planned a surprise attack. "Dad, I didn't see it." Li Nanfei blocked his eyes with both hands, but unfortunately the gaps between his fingers were not as big as usual. With a dark face, Li Chen kicked Li Nanfei on the butt. "Go and eat." "Ouch. Grandma, Dad is bullying Mom." Li Nanfei took the opportunity to shout in revenge. Murong Shui glared at Li Chen and walked in quickly without giving Li Chen an advantage. "You bastard, you want to die, don't you?" Li Chen gritted his teeth and rushed in. However, since his mother-in-law is here, Li Chen can't do anything to her precious grandson. "Shui, come and eat more. Look, you've lost weight." Li Chen diligently served Murong Shui some vegetables. During this period of time, not only did Murong Shui not lose weight, she even regained some energy and blood. The whole person's skin color became rosy. "Before, I had a sickly pale feeling." Just as Murong Shui was about to eat, she saw three little guys, Li Donglong, Li Zifeng, and Li Nanfei, staring at her faintly. "Brother, you have lost weight, please eat more." "Second sister, you see you have lost weight while practicing martial arts. You should also eat more." "Xiaofei, you have lost a lot of weight during filming recently, please eat more." "Li Chen." Murong Shui. "Grandma, you too." Weivue, Li Biwu was just about to imitate his brothers and sisters when he was blocked by Yuanjia Y.